This video has been a long time coming, mainly because I've been lazy. So anyway, many of you may not know, because it's only on the Japanese website, Dynasty Warriors 9 is going to have a season pass, which shouldn't surprise anyone at this point, especially with the direction the game has gone with the whole open world stuff. So settle down, my friends, and listen to the opinion of one of the world's most boring individuals, while some equally shit and boring gameplay is in the background. Before we get too ahead of ourselves, let me enlighten you to what's going to be featured in the season pass, although some of it is probably subject to change, especially seeing as they use the word such as while describing what's going to be in it. So, new scenarios and additional weapons, and as a bonus in the season pass you get 3 original weapons, so at least they made that distinction. But original in what sense? I mean, technically, cut weapons like the Tonfas and Claws are original when it comes to Dynasty Warriors 9. Anyway, now I'm not totally opposed to season passes, but there's a catch, obviously.
And then it said, but there's a catch, in a really sort of judgmental way, but there's a catch, these arseholes. Of course there's a catch!
Reasonable priced ones are pretty good, like £20 to £30, with worthwhile content like extra campaigns, modes, characters, etc, etc. The ones that are shit include ones over £30, which consist of nothing but costumes, and the games they're part of include DLC outside of the season pass, and in some cases have more than one season pass. Koei has shown to do both of these, well, more specifically Tecmo has done both, and Gust is guilty of the latter. So as you've probably gathered, alarm bells are ringing. If they aren't, they fucking well should be. So I see it going one of two ways for Dynasty Warriors 9. So you know, the first way is the season pass could follow the Neo method, which I'll call it, with reasonable price and with worthwhile DLC. Neo season pass is like £20 with 3 full campaigns or whatever you want to call it. Now the other way is the Dead or Alive way, with multiple £70 season passes, which add nothing worthwhile, only costumes, and for a kick in the teeth, the DLC characters aren't included in that. Also for a laugh, and a quick reminder, they said they weren't going to add DLC characters to Dead or Alive 5. Oh well. Also I should add, costumes are the kind of things people add as mods in the PC versions of the game for free. So, you know, why even pay £70 when you can make your own for free, or just download somebody else's? Make you think. So let's talk about both of these. Neo was and still is marketed pretty well. It's capitalising on the success of games like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, which have a pretty large following and dedicated fan base, as well as being somewhat marketable to the mainstream gamers, as it used to be a PS4 exclusive. Probably helped that the game was good as well. Now, thankfully, Tecmo and Koei haven't gone full batshit crazy when it comes to the DLC of the game. 3 full campaigns, nothing more, and all at a reasonable price, alienating no one basically. Also, worthwhile DLC can market a game to a certain extent too. I mean, such things as Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep for Borderlands 2. Pretty good. I think that did sell a few copies for them, but whatever. Now on the flip side, Dead or Alive 5. Dead or Alive 5 has 7 or 8 season passes, I can't remember which I've mentioned in many videos, mainly because, well, it's funny and it's pretty depressing, honestly. Now, Dead or Alive 5 is on its 4th/5th version of the title since 2012, if you include the free version. I'd say Dead or Alive is edging on the niche side of things. I mean, if you ask somebody about fighting games, they're probably going to mention Tekken or Street Fighter way before Dead or Alive. And also, Dead or Alive, if you think about that, you do tend to think of the Paradise games, you know, the ones where you just look at the girls, before you think of the fighting games, but whatever. Meaning it has a smaller fan base in general, as well as a hardcore fan base, which is easier to get money from. So what do? They increase the prices of the DLC so that they make the same money as they do selling lots of DLC at a lower price to a lot of people. But because there isn't a lot of people to market to, then they don't do that. Now, Blue Reflection is in a weird place in between the two games. It's a new franchise, and it was pretty good from what reviews said. However, I don't think it was marketed that good. Well, no Gust games are really, which is a shame. Meaning it didn't sell masses upon masses of copies, but it does have a following. Some from the Koei Tecmo fanboys, you know, people that buy any and all of their games, or, you know, maybe you pirate them like a cunt. And it follows the Dead or Alive insane DLC prices. Well, at the moment it only has one season pass, which, you know, at least they got that number right. Shame about the price though. To be honest, I see Dynasty Warriors 9 going either way. Now, you're probably thinking it won't go the Dead or Alive way. Okay, well think of this. The Dynasty Warriors fanbase gets smaller and smaller with every title. To quote myself of all people, these games carry the weight of being in a series that hasn't done anything really different for 7 main games. When people outside of the fanbase think of Dynasty Warriors, they already have the thought that the games are the same in their head, which puts some people off. In addition to that, the people that were going to buy it, i.e., you know, the hardcore fanbase, are more or less split in half and pissed off with the whole clone issue. And imagine how much smaller the fanbase will shrink by if the game isn't dubbed in English, which is a deal breaker for some people. And I should add, which hasn't had any official confirmation. Now, I'm not saying it will go that way, but that's just an argument for one side, while the other side doesn't really have anything to support that it won't for Western versions. However, the Japanese version has a vague price bundled into the base game of 10,800 yen after the first 2 weeks, which, if you take the base price of the game off the season pass, is 3,000 yen, which is about £20. However, that doesn't include the UK's 20% value added tax. And to be honest, the price could be anything. For example, the price of the game is 7,800 yen, which is £52, which Dynasty Warriors games never release at. It's usually £45 or lower, and that's not including VAT. As well as DLC prices in Japan being a lot cheaper for, you know, the Japanese fan base. So what I'm saying is the prices are up in the air at the moment. However, thankfully, it does look like it will be an even more reasonable price than I thought. So, you know, I will give them props to that. See, I can be positive sometimes. It's interesting that they've only announced the season pass on the Japanese website, which could mean the Western version won't even get it. Like Warriors All-Stars, which the West didn't get a season pass for. The season pass was a bit of a joke anyway. It only had the crossover costumes, and that was it. Wow. Instead, they sold all the costumes separately, and you weren't even able to buy the complete set of the costumes, from what I can remember. As a final note, I just want to go over the contents of the Season Pass again, mainly food for thought, as the game isn't out, and nor is the DLC, so we can't judge what is in either of those things. Additional scenarios, which makes me question what that even means, like cut battles, or hypotheticals, or what? Or maybe it could just be, you know, additional battles. There's a bunch of battles Yuan Shao does with Yuan Shu that might not make it into the game, but who knows? I'm not sure how any of those situations will work or what that will exactly entail. However, if it's extra battles, then that means they've cut stuff out of the initial game, or just it never made it in there in the first place. Unless they add characters too, like Sima Yan. On top of this, there's additional weapons, which could mean skins like Samurai Warriors 4, and its spin-offs, which kind of spoils some of the game, or it could mean new weapon types, seeing as everyone can use any weapon. It's all up in the air. Imagine if some of the old weapons return, that'd be a right kick in the teeth. I should mention, with the weapon DLC, I think it would be a Dynasty Warriors 7 and 8 situation where they just put new weapons in, they don't give any, you know, unique attacks to anybody. Probably means that people will get decloned with these weapons in later titles if they actually have them. You know, the Season Pass might actually replace Extreme Legends, seeing as there was that whole Capcom lawsuit, but who knows? I don't think they'll bin the open world stuff very easily when it comes to this. Now, I'm only bringing this up because the 2 pieces of DLC listed are ones that require at least some effort and time, meaning they've either cut them out from the finished game, or for, you know, extra dollar, or for time constraints, or whatever. You know, time constraints being, you know, they wanted to hit a release date and then they just didn't have time to finish off these things, or, you know, they just decided they were going to do it afterwards because, you know, they got to do something whilst they're bug testing and all that, and quality assessment. So, yeah. Although, one thing about this Season Pass is, well, I will give them props for not saying costume DLC, though. points, you know, there is some good. You know, costume DLC being one of the laziest pieces of stuff. They always do it as a pre-order bonus, though. There is casual wear for some of the girls, which, you know, does that surprise anybody? No. Yeah, I should mention it. Costume DLC is lazy because you can basically do that in a day. A whole art team could probably get the whole set done in a day, and if they bring back the old costumes, I mean, that's literally just importing, you know, some skins over a mesh. And I say that as somebody who used to do Team Fortress 2 weapon skins badly, I should mention, but still, point stands. So let me know what you think about this whole spiel. What do you think will be in it? What do you think their strategy is going to be? I think, and I really do hope, that they don't go for the Dead or Alive method. All indications show that it's basically not going to go that way. Although, depending on the sales of the Japanese version, they might actually, you know, change their method. You know, if the sales are low, they might up the price for the Western version. But who knows? It's all up in the air. If, by slim chance, they do go for the Dead or Alive method, I hope people have enough sense to fucking wait until all the content is released. Actually, I hope that people do that with any game, you know. Don't pre-order, because it's, you know, fucking stupid. But whatever. Thank you for watching if you did, and I'll see you next time. What the fuck were they thinking with this shit?